Hey everybody, welcome to another episode with our Born to Rise book project authors. And today I'm really excited to introduce you all to Renee Poirer. And she is just an extraordinary young woman who has had a plethora of experiences in her life in her young age so far. So lots to share with us, but I'm really excited she's part of the project. So welcome, Renee. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell our audience a little bit about who you are. How do you share who you are and tell us about how do you tell people about yourself?
Sure. So I guess like my 2-minute elevator speech would be that my name is Renee. I was born in Plainville, Massachusetts, so small town. I graduated from high school and went immediately into the military through West Point, so also known as the United States Military Academy. And there I played softball, which is a Division I softball program. So it was very time consuming, constant on the road travel. Time management was a necessity, I would say there. I graduated from there in 2019 and was in the army and have been in the army up to this point. I'm in the process now of medically retiring from the army and getting my master's in sports industry management. So I'm extremely excited to get back into the sports industry, but also more so like looking into my creative side and exploring that because so much of my life has been regimented, especially the military, but also sports. So comparing and contrasting my creative side through writing, also art, but then through leadership and sports. I think it's an interesting compare and contrast situation leadership is, especially in a realm like sports, where you do have to be regimented, but there's also an artistry to getting to know all the people that you're working with and forming that bond.
Yeah, it's a real dance to try to manage a team as well as like a leadership or corporate team, right? I mean, it's not that uh dissimilar. So I love that metaphor. Yeah. So I'm so excited you're in the project because I don't know as we have another athlete. So it's great to have an athlete as well as someone who's in the military. Really almost, oftentimes and kind of sadly, we talk about that as more of a masculine thing, right? To be in the military has always been a very masculine job, and being an athlete, but that's really shifting in the world. So I love that you're on board with our group, so you can talk about that with all of us too, because it is pretty up and coming, but also still pretty unique. So great combination. Um, so our theme is called, Born to Rise. The book is the Born to Rise book project. What drew you to this project, and what does it mean for you when you hear rising?
Um, it's a combination of things, but the biggest thing that stands out to me about rising is what has to come before that. So to me, rising is overcoming. And to rise, usually there means that there was a fall that you're having to get back up from.
Mm,
And so to fall, usually that comes with pain. And to get back up, we usually need to rely on others. Um, and sometimes we need to find a greater strength within ourselves too. And so both options lead us to a stronger version of ourselves and to be something stronger than we were before, whether that's who we are or even just having a stronger community based off of who we had to rely upon.
yeah.
So to me, to rise is to have inner strength. It means to have a strong community and it means to love and care for other people that are within your community and who you believe in and trust in. Um, it means relying on those true relationships in your life and being a little vulnerable with those people so that they're able to help you rise and to help you get back up. And so for me to stand recently and for me to be able to rise within the past year, I've had to build a community of family and medical providers and all of that. But through the process, I gained the strength where I needed that community at first because I didn't have the internal strength. But throughout the process of rising, they showed me my own internal strength. And I think I'm reaching a point where I'm able to stand on my own 2 feet again. So I think rise is a really powerful word where it's a transformation from community and love to, I don't know, internal strength and power.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that so much. I mean, that's what you do with a team of softball players too. Like you might be, I love softball. I used to play myself and it's such a great game, but you feel like an individual at
Yeah.
times when you're up at the bat, and you're up to bat and you're getting ready to whack that ball. But, and you know that that's your moment, but then there's also your teammates when you're out on the field and you're working together to do all the things you got to do. And I don't know, it's so beautiful. I love that so much. And then, obviously we when we rise ourselves up, right, we still have to train individually, right? We still have to do all the things, but then when we come together as a team, we rise up together. And I think what I love about what you said too is that when we allow people to help us and we let them in to help us, I think that helps others rise as well. And because we're not disconnected. So I love everything you said, Renee. That's really beautiful. And
Yeah, I think,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
I think also in the military and in athletics, you're so trained to be strong and to be tough and tough it out and get through it. And so it is difficult to be vulnerable at first and to allow other people to take that weight off your back. And when you reference softball, I had an immediate experience come to mind where when I was a freshman, I was pitching and it was a close game. We were only up by a run or two and we had bases loaded and we had a senior third baseman, Casey McCravey. She for somehow made it onto like the USA Olympic team for rugby after never playing in her life. So she's just an all-star as well. But she came up to me, she called timeout and she said, Renee, like what's going on? And I was extremely stressed, overwhelmed. Like I can't throw strikes, I can't get her out, I can't do this, I can't do that. And she's like, Renee, you're not that important. And I was like, what? And she's like, you have 8 other girls here ready to make the out. Like, we're here to back you up. So just
Yeah.
throw the ball over the plate. Like, we got you. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to strike the girl out because we got your back. So, like, just dish it over the plate. We have your back. And
Wow.
I'll literally always remember that. But shout out to Casey for that
Yeah,
one.
no kidding. Those are great
Yeah.
words of wisdom. I mean, because we get in our own box and we forget that we have all these people around us that love us, that care for us, that are supporting us. Um, I don't know why we do that. Maybe our conditioning, like you said, the training. Sometimes it feels like a survival mechanism, like, you just gotta, buck up and handle everything. But there are times when it's not even like that dire, like a softball game, but you forget, like I've got eight, 9 other people on this team that are right there for me, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kudos to Casey.
I know.
Yeah. So my last question really just is, you came in, someone asked you about this project and you had something you were going through. And whether that's the story you ultimately end up sharing, people will be able to read in the book to find out. But why did you think it was important to share the story that you're sharing? Um, and sharing stories in general, like why do you feel that that's an important thing to do?
Mhm. So it's kind of a parallel because the same reason I thought it was necessary to write the chapter is the same reason that I thought it was necessary to stand up for myself and go through the journey that I'm currently going through, which everyone will read more about in the book. But I want that reason is to be able to speak to girls that are younger than me and to give them a strength that I didn't feel that I had, but I wish I did have, and that I'm discovering that I do have after all. I don't know. I think when you're in school and it's all about how good your grades are and what school you're gonna go to and like who's going to the best known school and who's gonna get the highest paying job and you know there's so many expectations to fill, and especially as an athlete, like, oh, are you gonna get recruited? Are you good enough to go D1? Like there's so many different expectations for us. Um and those seem to almost define us. And when we don't achieve those things, it's very easy to feel like we aren't much at all because we aren't a headline. We aren't one of those things. But, we could very well be something much more quiet. Something we could be the poetry that we're writing in our bedrooms, like late at night. Like we could have a strength that no one has identified yet that could speak to the world in a way that no one has seen yet. And so I just think that there's something to be said to being your authentic self and standing up for yourself. And I don't know, just living with that authenticity and not letting people say no to that. And when you fail, to keep pushing through and keep going until you discover what truly makes you happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure your story is going to inspire a lot of young women because of that. So, because I obviously have spoken with you a couple times and have heard your words, and you're very wise. I think you have a lot to share beyond even this story. I can't wait to just sort of follow you along as you're doing your studies and moving on to your next gift, because I know there's a lot of them in there. So thanks, Renee, for joining today, and especially for joining the Born to Rise book project. I'm excited to fully read your chapter like everybody else, but you're awesome. Any final words you'd like to say before we say goodbye or feel complete?
No, I mean, just if you're listening, thanks for being here. I think this project is something worth listening to and worth sharing. And I think we all need the little more support in our lives and, give it to someone that you think might need it in that moment.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Renee. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Yes,
right.
thank you.
Bye.